Hi everybody, so today we'll be removing the front splitter, the front clip and the rear clam. Just in terms of the mounting points to start with, on the front clip you've got two hex heads, one on either side here, and then you've also got the stay, which you just need to remove another hex head bolt there, and that should all lift away. For the front splitter you've got 7 mounting screws beneath, or thereabouts, that screw into the lower radiator section there, and we just need to undo those and lift that away. On the rear we've got the same mounting points that we spoke about in the last video. It's these ones here, so we'll be paint marking them and then removing them from the chassis. And then we'll also need to just disconnect the gas struts there, but obviously keep the clam open and safe. When it's in the open position, we'll have another set of hands here giving us a lift so we can move it without damaging anything. Right, I've removed the front splitter, and one thing that I do that probably is a bit anal is I tend to tape anything that could be subject to abrasion just while it's sitting around or moving. Like, I mean, here for example, there's just the loose wallet washers because you can't ram that bolt home because there's no splitter depths to sort of set it out, space it out. So I just put a little bit of tape there. Obviously when you're flipping the chassis or even drilling, you're gonna get some vibration. I just don't want to wear the paint off because that's where you end up with corrosion and you end up with issues down the track. Also just running some tape around wear points so that if you do bump it, or if it does, you know, catch the ground or a corner, it's not gonna ruin your nice gel coat.
Now, the key to botching a time lapse is to use your Apple device. The car will be turned around in the next section and we missed all the important bits.
The next step in the process was going to be to remove the side pods, but I noticed when I went to look at this more closely that this line here of the side pod actually sits under the main body section there, so that's not going to be possible. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the main body section with the glass and the doors in place if possible. The plan is there to remove those 2 rivets there, this one up the front, that's the same on both sides, and then you'll see in here we've got 2 mounting bolts. There's another one on the right hand side, they're a bit difficult to see on the camera, and we're also going to just pull the clip off the end of this mount just here. It just pops off and then the gas strut will actually remove itself, and it should mean that you don't have to change the mounting point or get any realignment when you go to refit that section. The gas struts themselves will probably be a bit annoying when you do that, so take them out of the way once that's done. Then if we move to the back, this will do what it's meant to do. We can see that there are 2 mounting screws there that need to come that join the main body to the side pod, and same for the 2, I'd say 10mm nuts there that need to come out. We also need to drill out the locating rivets here from this back sheet metal panel so that it doesn't foul on the chassis itself as we remove the main body.
This is a 10mm nut that you couldn't see in the last section, and a ratchet spanner, best tool invented in the last 10 years. You got a 4mm hex head here just under these screws, same on both sides, and you got a 1/8 inch drill bit, and get a small body drill.
When we go to pull the main body, we'll have to get a few sets of hands here to help lift it off. It'll need to come up and back at an angle so that it can clear the roll bars here at the front and the back, and also the dash will need to clear the supporting structure below it. The other thing is that we need to be mindful of just making sure that we don't take any paint off when we're doing it. So if you can tape anything or look at anything like that in advance, make sure you've got enough blokes here so you can do it slowly and carefully. That's a pretty important thing to do. Okay, when we get to removing the side pods, you've got a couple of rivets at the back here and also a couple underneath that need to be drilled out. Then you also need to come along, and there's a sneaky hex head under there that I'm sure has caused a fair few people a lot of trouble and maybe some repair jobs along the way. And then we get to the front, there's a rivet underneath I won't show you. You've already drilled out those 2 that are gonna be relevant to your top section, your main body section, and then I'm hoping both of those side pods will just move away. If you think about the order of things and the way that things go back together and how you actually build the car later, that all should make sense. So look, I'm hoping that'll all come away with the dash in the main body, the glass in the main body, the door's still on so I don't have to worry about realigning them, and also I optioned the over roof scoop, which I'm hoping I don't have to pull off at this stage. I can just sort of leave it there for safe storage until I'm ready to look at that section.
Baby steps, finally got a time lapse to work. This is the main body section getting removed. I built a half-size crate out of the delivery crate so that I could store this outside with the tarp over it for a few months whilst I'm not looking at it and I'm doing all the paneling. So it seems like a good idea. Otherwise, it's not actually that heavy with the glass and everything in it. So that part wasn't too bad, even lifting it up above the roll bar.
So here's the bare chassis. A couple of tips for when you do it. Minimum of 4 people. 3 people was an effort. The other thing is that make sure you have the doors open when you release the clips for the door stays, the gas struts, because it becomes quite difficult. And also when you release it, there'll be quite a bit of force involved that'll actually shift the whole tub itself over and potentially, mar the size of the tub or something like that. The other thing is make sure that your doors are closed properly before you try and move the whole chassis shell, because if you don't, it actually loses a lot of rigidity out of the shell. You get lots of flexing and you might damage something. So I would definitely recommend making sure those doors are properly closed and with enough guys to make sure that you're not, flexing the whole center body section because you're just only lifting in a couple of places. That would definitely be the way to go to avoid any dramas. But here it is. Now I can get stuck into some paneling, which will be good. It'll be satisfying to start making some inroads into that sort of stuff. My pick at this stage is that I reckon I will have to test fit the motor and box 3 times best case, 5 times more likely, to make sure that I get everything right and I make sure my routing is as I'd want it to be. But we'll see by the end of the process how close I was on that. It might be 10 times and I'll feel pretty disappointed, but hopefully with a bit of planning and fitting it to start with, I can move forward pretty rapidly and without sort of too much abandonment of work or any errors. We want everything to be as clean as possible, so I think some planning and some test fitting now will be the way to go.